Jelani, we've talked a lot on this program about the fact that there will never be justice for George Floyd, that the best there possibly could have been in this trial, in this sentencing, was accountability. Your thoughts on this sentencing?
Well, I mean, there are a few things that are at play here. One is that there were, aggravating factors which the prosecution brought forth, saying that Derek Chauvin warranted more time than would typically be the case in this kind of sentence, that he had abused the public trust, that there were children present when he committed this act, that this act entailed particularly heinous and brutal behavior. And so for all those reasons, you can understand how Mr. Floyd's family feels that this sentence was insufficient, or at least was not what they would have received. It was not the equivalent of what a person of color would have received. But that said, this is still atypically long for a police officer. We tend to see a reluctance in every aspect of the legal system to indict, to prosecute, to convict, or to give lengthy sentences to police officers when they're involved with the death of a civilian. And so there's really a kind of duality at the heart of this case, that you can see both of those things and both of those things be true.
Katie, your sense as a trial attorney of why it wasn't the max sentence the family was hoping for?
Well, I mean, it's like what Jelani is saying. Sometimes it's like turning the Titanic to be able to affect change. And I think that based upon the 22-page legal memorandum that was released by Judge Cahill, he made a decision grounded in law. And he wanted to appear, and he made it clear to articulate during that sentencing hearing yesterday that he was not making his decision swayed by public opinion or swayed by bias, that he was looking at prior precedent in terms of other second-degree murder sentencing, and that he was also looking at the specific aggravators that he had found to be justified in this case. 22 and a half years may not have been as much as the Floyd family and others had wanted to see. However, 22 and a half years, especially for a law enforcement officer in prison, is going to be a severe sentence. And so for that, we are obviously grateful that we did see some measure of punishment, because remember, this is a criminal punishment system, Alicia. It is not there to purely rehabilitate.
Yeah, Jelani, we also heard very emotional reaction from Jacob Blake's father. Take a listen.
I don't think people understand the pain that the families that they go through, and we never get justice, man. We never get justice, man. We do everything we're supposed to do, man, and we can't find justice, man. Why does it elude us? Why does it elude us, man?
Jelani, that emphasis on justice, how does it speak to the need to continue pushing for systemic change, specifically for Congress to act on the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act?
I mean, there's so much implicit in his pain. First off, it's recognizable. Unfortunately, it's legible to us because we've seen so much of it in the past 5 years, the past decade, since cell phone cameras really made this a more prominent part of American life. But certainly the action on the George Floyd bill is crucial. But even what we're looking at now, we're not looking at a change to qualified immunity. That appears to be off the table in the negotiations, which is basically the waiver system that allows police, that protects police from being personally sued, even for the most egregious behavior. And if we're looking at what we might get out of the George Floyd bill, that will be a start. It'll be a step in the right direction, but by no means will it address the totality of the circumstances that have led to deaths like Mr. Blake's, like Mr. Floyd's, like Mr. Sterling, like Mr. Garner, like Ms. Bland, and we can just go through that entire litany of people who've lost their lives in this way.